Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Baczynski, and I am the Director of Boarding Admissions at Chaminade College Preparatory School. Chaminade is a day and boarding school for boys in grades 6 through 12. And today, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the benefits of a boys' school. So as you can see here, our presentation is understanding the learning needs of middle school boys. Well, middle school, high school, it's very similar. So everything I share with you today, please look at it and let us know if you have any questions. So where we like to start is with the gender achievement gap. As you go through school, especially in co-ed schools, boys tend to be a bit behind girls in reading and writing levels. They are more likely to earn lower grades in a co-ed school environment. They represent almost 100% of discipline referrals to administrators, principals, and teachers. At the end of the day, less than half of college students here in the US are represented by boys. And they're nearly twice as likely to dislike school during their formative years. This gender achievement gap is most prominent in the middle school years, but can be seen in the high school levels as well. So what is actually responsible for this disparity? What makes this gender achievement gap so profound? Well, there are inherent neurological differences between boys and girls. You can see that, for example, in the US. If you want to rent a car, if you are a boy, you have to wait till you're 25 years old. If you're a girl, you can do so at 21. Why? It's the science behind the neurological development between boys and girls and how boys tend to be behind. And in the classroom setting, especially in these traditional desks, sit quiet, raise your hand, don't disturb others, boys tend to fall behind. So what is the approach that we take? Well, this is the Chaminade approach, as well as other boys' schools. At Chaminade, we really focus on the science of how boys learn. And in doing so, we teach our teachers how to utilize these differences in their classroom. Different teaching styles, the classroom environment, the way the desks and seats are set up, just the full school culture is focused on how boys learn best. So in this presentation, I'd like to talk a little bit about those neurological differences between boys and girls, as well as how these differences influence their learning styles, and our strategies for accommodating and really celebrating how these young men do in the classroom. So what does the science say? A boy's prefrontal cortex, located in the frontal lobe of the brain, develops later in life than a girl's. This can hinder young men's focus and organization skills. It prevents them from being able to plan complex things. It will increase distractions from different stimuli around the classroom, and it can complicate the efforts to prioritize simultaneous information given to them by teachers all at the same time. So what you will see in Chaminade students, we have focused executive functioning skill training in organizational strategies, locker usage, even in giving our assignments. Instead of just a teacher telling our students, you need to write this very difficult essay, we will give them an outline like this, which breaks it down into individual learning parts, where students will see that they need a topic, a detail, a second paragraph topic, and it breaks it down for them in a way that they truly understand best. And because boys are more affected by external stimuli, you will see many of our classrooms actually bring that out. This is a middle school science classroom. The students are studying, biology, they're learning about animals and plants. Why not surround them with those animals and plants? Within this picture, it's hard to see, but we have snakes and alligators, tarantulas and Gila monsters. We have many different things for them to see, to stimulate them while they are learning, and to really help them retain what is being taught in the classroom. So neural resting states, another big part of, working with young men is that inability to focus for long periods of time. When the male brain gets bored, some of the brain functioning shuts down and you enter into what we call, a neural resting state. And when that happens, it can shorten your attention span. It'll hinder your ability to focus and often causes young men to speak out of turn, get up, move around, or completely stop listening. There are ways that our teaching styles will combat these different impacts or these different issues, such as in our class, our teachers will very clearly mark what we are doing for each segment of the lesson. For here, you will see we'll have a reading section for the first 20 minutes of class. Then we will make a storyboard, followed by some grammar work, and then vocab. We really clearly mark out things for our students so they know what they need to be doing and when they need to be doing it. And in between those, we often give our students what we call brain breaks. So if you have a longer class period where you can set that schedule very strictly for the students, in between each one of those sections, let them stand up, go to the restroom, get a drink of water, talk with their friends for 5 minutes. Then they come back into the classroom and they're ready to focus again. So a lot of this, as you can see, is boys like active learning. They like to move around, they like to do things. So that's where we get into our experiential and kinesthetic learning here. For a number of neural and chemical reasons, boys are more naturally physical, aggressive, and competitive than girls are. This allows for better learning through movement and active learning environment. It prioritizes teamwork and competition, and increases the need for a dynamic and flexible learning space. In this picture, our boys are learning about the muscular system, but they're learning about it while doing exercise, really feeling how those muscles work. So they're not just hearing that when you do this exercise, this muscle group is affected. No, they are doing this exercise to feel which muscles are affected. Even in a math class, we'll play mathketball, which is kind of like math plus basketball. Students get to stand up, shoot a ball through a hoop, answer a math question, have fun. They're competing for points for their team. It really is an active and engaging workspace for students to be successful. And it's also not uncommon in a boys' school, such as Chaminade, to see our classrooms aren't just desks in a row. We have traditional desks, standing desks, sofas and chairs, the ability to move our classrooms around for different reasons, whether that be for, group work, for lectures, for individual study time. The advantages of students being able to be comfortable while they learn really show up in our students' success in their grades, their test scores, and their overall, just feeling of school life. But that's not all. Getting outside of the classroom is a big part of what we do with our boys. Each year, our students will spend a week or more outside of the school, outside of campus, learning about the things they were taught in class. In this photo, our sixth graders traveled to the Grand Teton Science School in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where they were able to study ecology and ecosystems that they had been studying in books and in videos in the classroom, but in real life experiences. Boys learn best by doing. So getting them into these outdoor environments is very beneficial for them. Next, I'd like to chat a little bit about our verbal and visual spatial types of learning. Boys use, on average, half the brain space that females use for verbal emotive functioning. This can limit the effectiveness of text-only instruction, but it improves memory through physically moving objects in space. It emphasizes the cognitive value of engaging multiple senses. So as I was discussing, getting our boys doing things, not just listening and memorizing, but engaging through different visual and spatial representations, potentially pairing reading a text to listening to it at the same time, engaging these multiple senses simultaneously help boys to be successful. So what else? Collaboration and social bonds. Positive group experiences have been shown to contribute to learning retention and overall college success for boys. So, emphasizing the importance of role models. It increases personal accountability, provides motivation through a shared purpose of identity, and creates opportunities for meaningful student leadership. So you'll see a lot of groups on campus, whether it's our Marianis Life community, our house system, our investment club. We have ways that bring boys together with like-minded goals or interests to do things as a group, to work together towards a common goal. And again, that is how boys learn best. So participating in small group and student-led assignments, incorporating technology and into the classroom, really, really is a strong point of what we do in the classes for boys. The house system, which was traditionally more of a British system, Chaminade is one, if not the first school in the United States to bring the house system here back in the early 2000s, which is a great way to encourage leadership, collaboration, and group identity through competition. Each one of the houses competes throughout the school year in order to earn points towards the House Cup. These competitions are available for everyone. Some, of course, are athletic competitions, but other are academic. Which house has the highest GPA at the end of the quarter? Which house has the most students attend our musical? There are lots of ways to get involved, but keeping them as a group, having them have similar goals, really brings the boys together and working hard. And our senior leaders, our older students, will often work with our younger students. This provides positive male role models for our students to look up to have something to aspire to so they can be leaders in the future. Overall, students have the ability to study in many different environments. Co-ed schools are not inherently bad. They're actually very good for many students. But there are many boys that would benefit from a boys' education. With teachers who focus on how boys learn best, they give priority to executive functioning skills such as time management, organization, test and homework preparation. These things together will help many young men to be the most successful they can be. I know there is also the question of, well, if my son goes to a boarding school that's all boys for 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 years, how do they grow socially and emotionally with students of the opposite gender? Well, most boarding schools, Chaminade included, have sister schools. Within our location, we have 6 all-boys schools and 9 all-girls schools within about a 30-kilometer radius. So there are many things that we can do together through fine arts and music, through some clubs, sports, and activities. We still have high school dances and proms and middle school mixers. But when boys are learning, when they need to focus, when they need to be at their best to be successful, we are an all-boys school that helps students actively become the men the world needs them to be.
Our goal for the students is to recognize their potential, to develop their passions, to really form a deep, meaningful faith life.
We care about your faith, we care about your character, we care about your academic abilities, we care about you socially. We care about whatever it is that you're passionate about. And so when you come to Chaminade, you get that experience.
It's the life lessons that get instilled in you along class and the academics and your athletic performance, or the clubs that you're involved in, that prepares you for life as opposed for just preparing you for college.
We're forming young men in Christ. Meeting them where they are and helping walk with them in their journey is very important. I want them to grow in their relationship with the Lord that is personal and unique to them.
It's an environment where we openly talk about God, we openly talk about Jesus, we openly talk about what it means to be a man in light of the Scripture.
We know that a strong relationship with God, a strong relationship in their faith, allows them to live a more fulfilling and happy life.
Faith isn't something that just happens at church. It's a part of every day. That time I spent at Chaminade really helped set up that thought process about, these days as we're living them out, Those are faith-filled days, and it's not just what happens in the P.
When they arrived in 6th grade, there was scaffolding in place. The academic challenges were enhanced and more intense, but the teachers provided structure for them. And gradually, as they've gotten older and progressed through the grades, some of that scaffolding has been removed to allow them to do it on their own and be successful and find the confidence that comes from that.
It was a lot to take in once your first couple days here, but it got a lot easier after a couple days, and the teachers were there to help you whenever. You could go up to a teacher if something in life was bothering you or just a question on your homework, and they would be there to answer it.
I feel like the teachers, they love you, they take care of you. There's classes which are definitely difficult that I've taken. I've learned that I can meet with teachers outside of the classroom.
You have a set of educators who are uniquely tooled to educate boys. With boys, there has to be a lot of energy behind the curriculum. It has to be physically engaging, and you have to have a decent relationship with the kids.
The efforts that the staff makes to get to know the boys as individual people and not just as student number 3 in their classroom really makes a difference. It has made them want to show up in a better way for each of their teachers. I think the fact that they can meet each of my boys who are very different is one of the most wonderful things that we've experienced so far.
The teachers are more focused on us, and I feel like that's a good thing because they know how we learn and they know how to make it fun for us.
They're learning how to manage their time and become responsible young men with a lot of the freedom they're given here. I think it really prepares them for when they're on their own in college and beyond.
The confidence that he has gained over the years that he has been here is incredible. Walking into totally new environments, not at Chaminade, with so much confidence and self-assuredness that he can do what's being asked of him because he's been challenged in a lot of ways and been able to meet those challenges with the support that he has here.
They could go to a place that is equally big and small at the same time. It's big enough to give you all the opportunities that you need to grow, but also small enough that it blocks for you, it protects you, and gives you a safe space to grow and to learn.
I would thank Chaminade for just generally helping me become a better person, for helping me in my faith. I couldn't have done it without the Chaminade community of teachers and students, and so thank you, Chaminade, for that.
Success for us is that they learn to be a man. That's our school motto, Estovir. And we want our students to learn to be the best men that they can be. We want our students to leave here to be the men that the world needs them to be.